Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at the February of 1964 Omnibus from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. So what we're looking at here is the standard edition cover of the Marvel February 1964 Omnibus. We've had a 1961, 1962, and a 1963. As a matter of fact, this is the way they all look together. So I'm not sure if you've been collecting these or not, but I'm going to be showing exactly what is inside of this particular omnibus. But before I go any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advance copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out everywhere and in the direct market on February 6th. Or 7th, depending on where you get your books. So what do I mean by everywhere? Well, that's the book market. That's the one that will have this cover right here by Javier Rodriguez. Now, the direct market, the cover on the left-hand side, that will only be available at places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, waltzcomicshop.com, bdcosmos.com, dyandbreedcollectors.com, readcomics.com, comicsbugle.com, in-stock trades, Tales of Wonder, organic price books, places like that. And that one is done by Jack Kirby and Bill Everett. But this one here, let's shift the focus back to this, is done by Javier Rodriguez and featuring the characters that you're going to be finding in this particular omnibus. And let's look at the spine here. Marvel Omnibus, February 1964. And the main reason why we have this omnibus. Marvel's Man Without Fear is born. So it is celebrating, crazy to say, 60 years of Daredevil. And retail price, $100. Underneath the dust jacket, I can't believe Locar made a cover. That's awesome. Underneath the dust jacket, and actually the flaps, here it tells you a little bit about the project of February 1964 and the creators. And all of the creators are done in alphabetical order, from Dick Ayers all the way to Don Rico. My goodness. Wow. Yeah, I'm just looking at the dates. Jeez. Most of them are gone. Okay, so I'm not sure if you could tell, but the 1964 actual number is made up of the covers that came out in that particular month. And then the spine, with again Daredevil there, and the cover to the Fantastic Four, issue number 26, when the Avengers take over. Okay, we are going to crack the book open. I don't think I have to worry about saying spoilers. We're going to be checking out exactly what's in here, and checking out the artwork, and talking about the books that have never been collected, neither in omnibus format or in Epic or Masterworks. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's go ahead and get this open. Here's that image by Bill Everett. You have red end sheets. February 1964, the very famous truck and the man that pretty much set up the origin of Daredevil. And we have Millie the model and the Rawhide Kid right there. And the collection editor, Corey Selmeyer, and the book designed by Rodolfo Maraguchi. And the art color restoration, because there is a lot of the stuff in here that has been restored. The writers, Stan Lee, Don Rico, and Larry Lieber. And then the pencilers, Jack Kirby, Stan Goldberg, Dick Ayers, Steve Ditko, Bill Everett, just to name a few. And inkers, Al Hartley, Dick Ayers, Paul Rainman. The letterers, Art Simek, Sam Rosen, Mori Kuramoto, and the editor, Stan Lee. Now, of course, they weren't giving credit to the colors because most of the time the colors went uncredited. Now, this is really important right here. This kind of explains a question that I've been asked just recently about why there are certain months on a comic book, but the comic book comes out a lot earlier. So this is in celebration of Daredevil's 60th anniversary. This features the comics released by Marvel in February of 1964. Now, this is very important. Please note that the cover date listed on each issue cover was not the date the issue was released. The cover date was the month that newsstands were to remove the comic from sale. The issues collected are presented based on their release date as documented by the Library of Congress records. So they do have job numbers, for example. We'll look at those here in a little bit. But that's why they have the months. The month is supposed to be the month that the newsstands were supposed to remove the comic from sale. And we have an introduction and your table of contents here. And of course, the introduction is by none other than Ralph Macchio, who talks about the importance of Daredevil #1, who talks about where the inspiration for the character Daredevil came from to Stan Lee. He's talking about Duncan MacLean, who was a detective, and he was blind, but he did not let his blindness take away how great of a gumshoe he was. So Stan was like, hey, we need a superhero like that. This is great. So there's really good stuff in here. Not just talking about Daredevil, but also the other characters that appeared throughout here. So we kick it off with Daredevil #1. So collected in here is Daredevil #1, Amazing Spider-Man #12, Fantastic Four #26, Journey into Mystery #103, Kid Colt Outlaw #116, Millie the Model 120, Modeling with Millie #30, Patsy Walker 114, and Strange Tales #120, Tales of Suspense #53, Tales to Astonish 55, Two Gun Kid 69, Avengers 5, Patsy and Hetty #94, The Rawhide Kid #40, and Sergeant Fury #7, as well as X-Men #5. The book has 480 pages. So we kick it off with Daredevil #1. And this is a book I've talked about on my channel before, whether it was the Omnibus edition or the Epic Collection. But this is the origin of Daredevil. It is drawn by Bill Everett. That's right. Stan Lee gets Bill Everett coming back. This is the guy that created Namor the Submariner many years before this started. Decades. And Stan Lee has been known to say that this is his favorite origin story. Like Spider-Man, loves the character. This Man, This Monster is his favorite comic book he wrote. But his favorite origin is the origin of Daredevil. And there's a lot to say about this. You have the young kid, Matt Murdock, who gets bullied. His dad, battling Jack Murdock, is a boxer. And he's like, kid, you need to stay in school. You don't need to be a fighter like me. He's getting older. He's having a hard time. His dad, that is. He's having a hard time finding somebody to fight him. So, of course, he goes to the mob. And they have a fight. And the fight is fixed. They want him to lose. And the origin is just insane how fast it goes. There's the famous truck. There's the famous old man that Matt does the right thing and he saves the old man from getting hit by the truck. But the toxic chemicals that the truck was carrying spills and makes him blind. However, it heightens his senses. His hearing, his smell, his touch, his taste. He lost his sight, but he gained so much more. And doesn't miss a beat. We get to see, what happens to his dad because he did not throw the fight. Matt and Foggy graduate high school. They go and graduate college. They actually start becoming attorneys. In the first issue, just a few pages of this origin when he was a kid with his dad. And his dad's like, you need to not get into fights in school. And gets a costume out of old clothing because he can feel the different colors in the texture, which is really interesting. Gets a billy club and becomes Daredevil and avenges his father's death by going after the people responsible. The house ads are included in here too. I like that. So definitely a throwback is what this is. There's the Tales to Astonish, which is this giant man and Wasp fighting against the Human Top. But it also collects the backup story too. With the secret, I think it's the Secret of the Gypsy? The Gypsy Secret. Yeah, turns out to be, not of this world. Modeling with Millie. I had never read these books. I remember hearing about them. I think when I worked at the comic book store, which was one of my favorite jobs I've ever had, by the way, there was one guy that was searching for them, but not for him, but for his sister. And I was like, what the hell is Millie the Model? No, it was Millie the Model, because he was looking for specific issues. And he was like, oh my gosh, it was Marvel Comics. They were big into romance and war and Western comics in the 50s and 60s. And I was like, what? Man. You learn so much just by being in a comic book store. I miss that. This is where she's looking after a little girl because her mom's in the hospital. Clicker gets jealous because he sees Millie out with a man that is not him. And he follows Chili's advice and confronts her. By the way, Chili, it's my type of girl. Likes all the drama. Dresses nicely. And speaking of dressing, there she is. Saucy. I'm sorry, classy. Classy. Uh, the fans were creating the outfits for this. That's really cool. You know, Marvel, I think I've probably said this in the past whenever I talked about these stories. Marvel has always had a way to connect with the fans. Like whether it's winning no prizes or whether it's like actually showing the characters wearing the outfits that the fans designed. I think that is so freaking cool. But they've always managed to find a way to touch base with the fans, to see what the fans want and make the fans feel like they're a big part of the Marvel family. Journey into Mystery number 103. This is the first appearance, of course, of the Enchantress and the Executioner. And the Enchantress, my goodness, drawn by Jack Kirby and inked by Chick Stone. Hubba hubba. Look at that. Woo! Dad, I remember there's a couple of pictures that Jack Kirby had of stories I hadn't seen. It's in that Love and War omnibus. Wow, can he draw some gorgeous women? This is a twist right here on a scientist that wanted to live forever. And then we get the Patsy. It's Tales of Asgard, and then Patsy Walker right here that finally gets engaged. And this is a really interesting take to this time that was because of the way her parents reacted to her engagement. I can't believe I'm actually talking about Patsy Walker without talking about Hellcat, but hey, here we are. Two Gun Kid. This is the story with Goliath. And ironic enough, the way this story ends, it's interesting because, you know, you're talking about Daredevil, and I'm not going to spoil what happens. I know this story is 60 years old, but in case you haven't read it, that's really interesting the way this particular story ends for the character of Goliath. Then you have this backup story here, the 6-gun showdown in Sundance. This is Sheriff Calhoun taking down the villain of the month, I assume. The Return of Black Cat in the pages of Tales of Suspense featuring Iron Man. But like I said, it not just only collects Iron Man, it collects the whole thing in here. Like this alien invasion that they avoided certain doom by seeing this falling star. This is the Tales of the Watcher. Yeah, the way it began. It's really cool that all of it is collected here. Spider-Man 12, I think. Yeah, this is issue number 12, where Doc Ock unmasks him. But how could he be unmasked in front of all these people? How do we still not know who Spider-Man is? It does have an interesting twist. This is the story of Strange Tales 120, that for the first time, the Human Torch gets to team up and meet Bobby Drake, Iceman from the X-Men. And then, of course, the story of Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange also collected here. This is Millie the Model, issue 120, because Millie was so popular back then. I mean, even in 264, that she had two titles. The Millie the Model, and she also had Modeling with Millie, which that says a lot about the character. I mean, we're on issue 30 and then issue 120. My goodness, new characters these days. You know, we're lucky if they've gone 12 issues or more. Fantastic Four, number 26, when the Avengers take over. So yes, this is the story of the Hulk and the Thing fighting, and then the Avengers get involved. But the Hulk's a lot smarter than they think. The letter pages, if the issue had it, are intact. And then, as I mentioned, the house hats are intact too. This is Kid Colt Outlaw against Dr. Danger and the Invisible Man, with a couple of twists. So yeah, Dr. Danger comes into town and starts introducing everybody to his invisible gunman. And the invisible gunman is shooting down folks. So now it's up to Kid Colt to figure out who this is, how he's doing that. This is issue number 5 of the Avengers, and it's them against the Lava Men. For some reason, I think I just recently talked about that particular story. I do love this part when the character of Donald Blake is separated from Mjolnir, and he turns to Donald Blake again. And again, letter pages intact. Nick Fury, this is the trial of Nick Fury, because he is about to become court-martialed because of something that happened during this particular war. And you can find out if he is. And if he's found guilty, they can execute him. X-Men number 5, it all starts with an innocent visit from Jean Grey's mom and dad. But it turns into a big fight against the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants making a return here. Patsy Hetty. Oh, this is the Patsy and Hetty series. Patsy and Hetty, the other Patsy Walker series, because she was also a very popular character. Whoa. This is all... Al Hartley had this really clean style to him. I like what Stan Goldberg did, but I think I was a bigger fan of Al Hartley. I don't know. Just love the way he drew his ladies' faces. It's another thing I never thought I'd be talking about. Yeah, see? Just really beautiful, classy looking ladies. Yeah, it's a little bit different than what Stan Goldberg was doing. Stan had more, to me at least, looked more like an Archie type of art. And then the Rawhide Kid, issue number 40 is here. Jack Kirby. Man, I'd love to see this stuff collected in an omnibus format, honestly. So for the first time, these type of stories, along with Patsy and Hetty and Patsy Walker and Millie the Model and Modeling with Millie, are collected in any type of format. Because there is no masterwork, there is no epic collection of that stuff. Not even Essentials. And that is the last story collected in here, and then we get to the extras, which has original art by Bill Everett from Daredevil number 1. And Tales to Astonish 55 by Dick Ayers and Larry Lieber, original art. Steve Ditko's original art from Spider-Man 12. Dick Ayers from the Two Gun Kid. And the introduction, this is an essay from the Son of Marvel, or no, Son of Origins Marvel Comics, that's what they were called. They came out in 1975. This is from the Marvel Masterworks Daredevil Volume 1 introduction. This I didn't expect to see in here. Daredevil number 1, the Wizard Ace edition, reprinting that just one single issue, and then Marvel Masterworks, the trade paperback cover, and the Mighty Marvel Masterworks, and the Alex Ross cover to issue number 1. Oh, I love when they do this. Yes, this is the Who's Who. And if you're not familiar with some of these characters, they also tell you where you can find them in this particular volume. So there's Betty Brant, for example, and Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and what issue is in here that has both of them in it. In case you got the direct market cover, Javier Rodriguez's art is also here in the back. Red end sheets, let's take a look at the binding. 480 pages. This one printed at the iMac printer. And the paper stock they use in these, it's the same one that they've used in the past. And it's not quite glossy. It's not matte paper, but it's thick, and there's very little bleed through happening. But yeah, it's not even, it doesn't even really feel like semi-gloss or high-end gloss, but yeah, very little bleed through coming from the opposite pages. Just to kind of give you a heads up. And really not a lot of spread pages besides things like this over here. But this one printed at the iMac printer. And that's it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this book, and what exactly it is. Let me know in the comments down below if you've picked up the other Marvel's 1960s Omnis. If you want to see one for your birthday month, I always said that would be a really cool thing to see. That's right, March 1978, baby. see all the goodness that came out that month. And of course, if you want to see a continuation of the series, or if you want to see any of the characters that showed up here get their own omnibus, like the Rawhide Kid, or Millie the Model. Whatever it is, let me know in the comments down below. If you have any questions, leave it down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.